Hello everyone, it's Ben from Game Hunters R Us. I'm talking quietly because it's a little late at night, but anyway, this is kind of a vlog-ish review of two games that came up recently. I've talked about one of them briefly before, but I didn't finish it at the time. The Last of Us, so we'll start with this one quickly, and then after that we'll talk about the Deadpool game that came out a few days ago. But The Last of Us, I only finished this a couple days before Deadpool came out, so I figured might as well put these together. But The Last of Us is honestly the best game I've played so far this year, new or old. I mean, I've played a few others. I mean, there was Gears of War Judgment, which was way too short for its own good, and the more I think about it, the more it feels like the Halo ODST of this series. More and more as I distance myself from playing the game, it feels like a bit of a betrayal in that sense. It's just way too short for its own good. Multiplayer is not enough. And then, there was Tomb Raider. Very good game, but it could have done better on the character development, and there were too many falling scenes for its own good. That's probably why it lost money over the first month, because they put so much money into the falling scenes and the multiplayer, which was just tacked on. And then there was Remember Me. I liked it, but it's certainly not without its problems. Almost everything in the game could have been better than it was. I can't think of any complaints about this game, except for maybe the fact that I kind of suck at multiplayer. It's good, but I suck at it. But in terms of the single player, of everything media I've consumed so far this year, movies, games, and even comics, this has the best character development I've seen so far this year. Again, new or old. Especially with the main two characters, their relationship develops throughout the game. At first they really hate each other, but towards the end they almost have like a father-daughter relationship, and it feels completely natural. It develops slowly over time. Not just that, but they both have their complexities. Ellie, towards the end, proves herself to be a very complex character with a lot of different motivations that kind of build up on each other. There's a lot of interesting dynamics there. Some of the best scenes in the game are just the quiet moments where she's commenting on the stuff that she sees and just tries to figure out what the world was like before the infection began. And there's just a lot of little moments like that that really help this become better than you think it would be, because when you really break it down, there's nothing original about this game. It's a glorified escort game where the AI is good enough to actually, the person you're escorting is actually helping you in her own little way. It takes place in a zombie apocalypse, which has been done too much in gaming, but this still does it really well. And just, I've probably talked enough about this game already, because it's more than half a month old. A lot of people have already talked about it, but yeah, if you have a PlayStation 3, you should at least play this game somewhere. It's just very good. Even the minor characters have a lot of development, and probably most of the minor characters have more development than even the main character in Remember Me. This is a very, very well done game. So let's get to Deadpool. Now, I didn't think this was going to be good. The main reason I picked this up was, as I've said before in a few other videos, I'm also into comics. Just this past week I picked up 12 comics, some of them good, some of them Wolverine and X-Men I thought was terrible this week, but I kind of like Deadpool in the comics. He can be funny when he's written properly. The Deadpool I prefer is the one where there's pain, there's kind of a sadness behind it. There's a sense where he feels lonely and he wants to belong, and the humor side of him and insanity is to mask that, maybe even from himself. When he's written properly, he's a very deep character. I haven't read much of Joe Casey's run, but from what I've seen of it, it's very good. It has a lot of that, and yet it's still very entertaining when it tries to be. I really liked him in the Cable and Deadpool series. The two characters really balanced each other out, and he still has legitimate character development in that series. This game is written by Daniel Way, who did the recent Deadpool series. It was, 60 issues or so? And that was more of a jokey clown Deadpool, who sometimes wasn't even that competent as a mercenary. I mean, he was usually good, but sometimes he was a bit too much of an idiot in Deadpool. As much as his insanity makes him do stupid things, he's not supposed to be an idiot. But I'm not a fan of Daniel Way as a writer at all, so I wasn't expecting this game to be good. Not to mention, there were no reviews before the game came out. It almost feels as if... It's almost as if they were ashamed of it in that sense. They didn't want anyone to know what the game was like. And big surprise, it's really not that good of a game. The action, the gameplay elements are mediocre at best. The fighting in it kind of works, but the more you play it, the more clunky you realize it is. Sometimes when someone's about to attack you, you can press B to counterattack, but it doesn't always work the right way. Sometimes you counter against an enemy you don't want to, or sometimes when B shows up, you press B and you teleport away instead when you want to counter them. Or this is especially annoying in this one boss called... Well, I won't say the name, but you have to counter one of his moves in order to even do any damage to him. And this is annoying when you have a bunch of other bad guys showing up and attacking you, and it makes you counter the normal bad guy instead of the boss. It makes the fight a lot more frustrating than it should be. Not difficult, but frustrating. And the lock-on mechanisms for the gun don't work all the time either. Sometimes you'll be looking right at the guy you're trying to lock on to. Half the time it will lock on, half the time it won't. Half the time it just randomly slips out of it when they move a little bit. Sometimes it does when you move, even if you don't touch the right joystick, the aiming stick. Just why? It's not that hard to make it lock onto something and stay locked on. But somehow they messed it up. The game also has way too many fourth wall jokes towards the start of it. Sure, Deadpool is known for breaking the fourth wall, but here he does it so much it gets annoying at first. That said, there are a couple funny moments in the way he breaks the fourth wall. There's one part where there's this large gap that he has to jump across, but he can't jump that far yet, so his inner voices start talking, and the caption boxes form platforms that he can jump on. That part was kind of funny. There are a few other funny jokes here and there, but at least for the kind of humor I like, most of the jokes just fell flat. If you don't like Daniel Way as a writer, if you don't like his Deadpool, you're really not going to like this game. Well, I will admit, though, the fact that some jokes work make it better than what I think of the current Deadpool series, which is basically nothing but references and no jokes behind them. I won't get into that. I only got 2 issues into that series and I just gave up, but this game, it's not that, there's nothing special about the game. It looks like an early Xbox 360 game. The graphics aren't that good. They advertise that Cable has a big role in it, and while he does, he sort of doesn't feel like Cable. He feels too much of almost too serious and distanced. And yeah, I know Cable is supposed to be a serious character, but it worked so much better in the Cable and Deadpool series where there's some heart behind what he says, whereas in this one, he just feels like he has no personality whatsoever. And then, for some reason, Rogue doesn't have a southern accent in this game when she's technically supposed to. I will say this though, the voice acting in the game is pretty good. Especially Nolan North. He plays Nathan Drake in Uncharted. He plays Deadpool in this one. While the script isn't that good for him, he does a very good job at voicing Deadpool. He makes some of the annoying jokes less annoying, or sometimes jokes that wouldn't normally be funny, he somehow makes them funny. And the fact, in this game, Deadpool has 3 different voices. He has the main outward voice, and then there's this really excitable, juvenile kitty voice, and then there's a bit of a snob who likes to complain about things, who speaks in this deeper, fake, sophisticated voice. And the 3 of them actually work pretty well. It does help make Deadpool less annoying in this game. But still, how much you enjoy this game depends on how forgiving you are for mediocre and very repetitive fighting scenes, and how much you like Daniel Way's writing. If you liked his Deadpool series, and you're patient with mediocre to bad gameplay, you might very well like this. If you don't like Daniel Way's writing, then don't bother. I haven't finished this game yet, and to be honest, I kind of don't want to. At least not for now. In fact, as soon as I'm done playing this video, I'm probably going to be playing a bit more of Saints Row 3, because that game is awesome. But yeah, to sign it off, best game I've played so far this year, new or old. Worst new game I've played so far this year. And that's not to say it's terrible. I've certainly played worse. But I can't really recommend it to any non-Daniel Way Deadpool fans. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm not sure when I'll talk about a new game anytime soon, but I have found some new games lately. When I find some more, I'll make another game pickups video. And, well, have a good day, everyone.